Telling us how you felt about the President's address today.
Thank you. My name is Lindiwe Zulu. I'm the Minister of Social Development. I was very excited about the State of the Nation as presented by the President, firstly because it gave us an overall picture of what the nation looks like, what the nation has looked like in the past 30 years, and hopefully what the nation is going to look like in the next 30 years if we happen to implement some of the things that the President presented there with regard to the economy of the country, with regard to the health of the country, with regard to infrastructure development, with regard to even international issues related to what South Africa has done in as far as international relations is concerned.
Are there any key factors that you feel like the President should have addressed today that he didn't particularly touch on?
I think he touched on everything on the basis that he knows whatever he has covered still has to be covered by his ministers, including myself. When the President speaks about the SRD, which is a social relief of distress, when the President speaks about the grants, when the President speaks about schooling and bridges and all that, he is then expecting us as ministers, when the time comes for us to debate, to go deeper into those issues. Also, what I think is very important is the fact that the President reflected on the past 30 years and then said what was good done, the achievements done in the 30 years, but he also reflected on the weaknesses of why sometimes things didn't go the way that government would have expected and community in particular would have expected. But he also gave us hope to say that if this is what we've been able to do in the past 30 years, considering where we came from, pre-1994, where we all voted for the first time, where democracy only started for the first time, where black people for the very first time saw themselves as people who can contribute into building their own country. But it gave us the hope of what we need to focus on in the next coming 30 years.
After this address, what do you see going forward?
Firstly, if I have to speak for myself as a Minister of Social Development, I'm happy with this Tintswalo that the President spoke about, because that Tintswalo is a beneficiary of social development, whether it's the school uniforms that we give, whether it's the no-fee school that he was speaking to, whether it was issues of ensuring that there's nutrition in the school for those who come from poor communities. They now have the 2 meals, whether it's about infrastructure itself, because as a Department of Social Development, we can't be concerned only about the social issues. We must worry about, does the child get to school on time? Is there a transport for that child? That child must not cross rivers that are full. There must be bridges for that child to cross. So I think that come the debate time, which is upcoming, and fortunately we are also going to be debating, and that's when we are going to be able to focus on issues related to the Department of Social Development. Then after that we have the budget, because the President can say all the things that he says, but if the budget does not connect to that, it's a problem. So he has said for us as the Department of Social Development, the social relief of distress is going to be continued, and we'll hear about the grants, obviously, from the minister, whether they will grow or whatever. I just think that the President covered what he could cover, because he was speaking about the state of South Africa and the state of the nation, but he gave us hope for the future. All that needs to be done now is to make sure that us as ministers, the entire executive, we take what the President has said in our own way of implementing, we focus on the implementation.